Hello, beautiful people. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. Welcome back to day 2 of Earth University. So real quick, I ran out of data on my phone for the month. So instead of doing the live videos, I am now going to do a video and then post it when I get back to the house. But yeah, I figured I'd start with that announcement, and then I have some other good news. Now that I've moved on from everything that's still going on in the background, I want to focus more on starting to teach. So I posted yesterday's video on YouTube and on X, and I plan on starting up on a few other platforms as well. So obviously if you're watching this, you already found me, but on YouTube, I'm gonna be under the Leader of the Way, and then I had already had an X account under Team Up for Hope, so I'm going to post these on that as well. And when I start any others up, I will let you guys know. So yeah, obviously I'm always working on myself and trying to improve. So I just either wing it a lot of times, or just kind of have notes everywhere of things I want to usually talk about. But I've been watching my videos back just so I can see what I can improve on, and I want to try to stay more on topic instead of jumping around as much. So I've actually took all of my notes that I've made over since yesterday and today and put together a little bit of an outline for myself, so that hopefully it's easier to just go down the topics, which there's actually quite a few today, but I think they're all important to tell the story that I'm beginning to tell. But while I was watching the video from yesterday, there was a part that was a little bit confusing that I just wanted to clarify. So I had talked about functional obsolescence and mentioned like the iPhone chargers, how they always change. So functional obsolescence is basically a new model comes out of the phone and you have the old charger that's functionally obsolescent at that point. And then I had talked about like a refrigerator built in the 40s could still work today, whereas nowadays they're designed to break down, so you have to buy new ones. That's actually physical obsolescence. So I didn't want to put something out there that wasn't true. But as I continue along today and really moving forward, there's going to be some things that I say that you might not believe. I'm just posing questions, and I believe a lot of these things, and sometimes I will ask a question just to get you guys thinking, which is what I want to talk about next, which is now that I'm in this role where I'm trying to teach. Obviously there's somebody specific that's out there who spent a lot of time with me and has tried to basically take that role and use all of the things that she took from spending time with me and pass it along like it's her own work and that she understands it all. Let's just be clear. There's a difference between teachers and students. Like, I'll forever be a student, but I'm a student that learns the lessons, which then qualifies me to teach. A lot of teachers out there never learn those lessons and then try to teach them as if they have. I've lived through these experiences. I did the hard work myself to understand these principles and to create my own style that nobody's going to be able to replicate. Like, I had posted the painting me and Riley did about finding your inner diamond. So for me, I'm not even really concerned when somebody tries to copy me, because I've done the work and gotten my diamond out of the box. So that's authentic and real. So that's a real diamond that's going to be more valuable than somebody else's cubic zirconian that, you know, is just a cheap imitation of mine. Like, you need to find your own diamond in there, not copy somebody else. So for anybody who's watching, and I'm sure the person that I'm talking about is going to watch this, people who know of this person will watch this. We have to start being able to tell the difference between who's authentic and who's fake. So tied into that would be the concept of the difference between a leader and a follower. So as a teacher, you naturally are a leader, whereas you would classify the students as following the teachings of that person. We really need to do a better job discerning and realizing who the people truly are that we just blindly follow. Like I said, I'm a leader and have the credentials to do this because the claims I made are all true. It's the integrity, it's not being able to be corrupted. Like, I'm not a hypocrite. The things I'm going to talk about, if I have made, I've made mistakes, I'm flawed, but I don't run away from that stuff. And it actually only strengthens me. Like, that's life experience, that's learning the lesson. So while I'm trying to lead people in the right direction, this person that I'm talking about is, a follower of a better opportunity. She'll forever be a student and follow the shortcut and the easy way of doing things, whereas a true leader actually stands there and fights and does the hard work. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly talk about that because it's hugely important. Like, now more than ever, is we're so divided, and we have leaders on both sides and in corporations and all over the place that are just leading us down these paths that are not good for us. And then we have a whole contingent of people who are just willing to accept that and to follow them off a cliff. So, yeah, it's just a kind of a very, very important principle and concept to keep in the back of your head. To just, people are very good at manipulating. They're very good at making you believe what you want to believe, that these people are all fighting for us. They're fighting for what's best for us, but we have to start looking at the actions behind it and how the way we've been doing things, nothing ever seems to change. They just move the goalpost from one thing to the next. If there's concern over one topic, they may address it in some way or another, but you better believe that that means that some other area they're neglecting and stealing from, and it's the money game. And when that's involved, when people are doing it for money, they're going to choose money over you. That's one of the hardest lessons that I've learned over the last few years. Just about everybody in my life was willing to accept money over my well-being. And I never did a thing to any of them. So if I just continue following other people, letting them suppress me and hold me down, like, who knows where I would be right now. I was forced to step into my power, and in doing so, I realized that I had a responsibility to teach and to lead. So that's that kind of nicely flows into talking a little bit about like what my process is like. And I talked yesterday as well about how everything, I feel like the answers are everywhere. Everything is looking for the answers to the same questions, but when we keep an open mind and are willing to explore all these different avenues in search of these answers, I believe I've found pretty much the connection between all of these things. It's like the oneness. Like, I believe that everything connects to another. There's threads that weave from one thing to the next. So I didn't immediately connect the dots of what the universe was trying to tell me. Honestly, I was thinking, like, I kept seeing spiders, whether out here or even in my parents' house. The last few days, I just kept noticing spiders everywhere. And I was thinking, like, you know, spiders bite and things like that. Is it like the darkness trying to suck the blood out of me or something, you know? But then it hit me right before I came here today what it meant. And this is pretty much usually how I know what I'm supposed to be talking about. So, spiders, spider web, threads, weave. Okay, so what's my story? I was stuck in a web a spider's web. I was the fly, stuck, ready, just waiting for the spider to come basically eat me. So it symbolizes my freedom, my escape, getting out of that web. Now, if you're tapped in with the universal language, you'll know there's usually multiple meanings, and in this case that applies. So basically, there's so much information to cover that I've learned over the course of my life. But I was saying, like, it was hard to know where to actually start. So yesterday I was just like, started listing some figures and everything. And it's like, when I start out with this stuff, I don't always know where it's coming from or where it's going. But I started with Plato and talked about some of his ideas and stuff. And then I just randomly thought of like the first 5 people that came to my mind. But last night and today, I started realizing that I set up, like I'm starting to set up my own spider web to tell the story. Like I'm starting at any point. Like, it didn't have to start with Plato because everything's connected, but I can start with Plato and literally start to just go off and talk about really anything that I feel like. And I'll be able to connect it to the stuff that I've already talked about and weave it all together and start to present it and get other people caught in the web, the story that I'm trying to tell, because there aren't going to be holes in it. Like, if you actually follow along, you will see that the web starts to form. Speaking of a web, there's one literally in the armrest of the bench I'm sitting on, I just noticed. So you would think that that's a lot of symbolism, right? Yes and no. There is a third meaning to the same thing, which is talking about how we actually change the world. The positive change that has to start within, right? And when you make that positive change, raise your vibration, elevate your frequency, that there is a spiderweb effect. So if I'm at the center of the spiderweb and I help 5 people raise their vibration, and then those 5 people help another 5 people raise their vibration. If you can picture it in your head, that's like a spider web forming. So we do matter. We do make a difference. We are spinning the webs of our lives. It's just a matter of what type of web and what you're trying to catch. Like, I want to catch or create a better world with my web. Whereas if you're running around spreading negativity and hate, I've been surrounded by that stuff my whole life. And, I was caught in the web. I was part of the web until I had to break out of it. I had to escape. And I think there's a lot of people who don't realize just how affected they are by the people that are surrounding them. And, there's an inner knowing, at least I had an inner knowing, that I was a good person and that I didn't understand why all this bad stuff would always happen to me, and I couldn't control my emotions and all that. I had to go do the work alone before I could see it clear. So when I talk about going inward and protecting your energy and things like that, that is what I'm talking about, and why I'm stressing it so much. Is that's how you escape the web, so that you can see it clearly. When you're in the web, you don't know you're trapped in the web. Not until you're by yourself and not with the other spiders that you even realize how you're not like them. And you go off and start spinning your own web. So that was the message I believe that the universe was wanting me to talk about, why I was seeing all of the spiders. Makes sense. There's a lot of layers to it. But as you continue, if you continue down this journey with me, I will teach you, it's about awareness. It's about paying attention. We walk through life like zombies or in a rush all the time. We don't notice all these things that are being shown to us to send us messages, to make us start to think about what it could mean. We just chalk it off like none of it matters. And I will assure you very much that it all matters, because it's all connected. It's all one. We are everything. We're one. So, yeah, it's a hard concept to wrap your brains around, but the more and more I talk, I think I will be able to do a pretty good job of getting there where it makes more sense. So if you can stick with me, obviously I'm talking, one of the things I'm always going to stress on here is the patience, that what I say might not make sense right now or even in a couple weeks, but if you start to listen, at least keep an open mind and listen to what I say, and just start paying more attention, being more aware, trying to just be more mindful of how you treat other people, and just see if anything changes. Just see if you start noticing more, see if you feel any different. It's powerful stuff that we've been told is just fairy tales. We are told that we need to grow up. We're immature. It cracks me up when people say that I'm I was immature. I was the most mature person surrounded by children. I just didn't lose my curiosity and like imagination and desire to still have fun in life. I think too many people mistake what it means to be a grown-up. Like, I'm a good father. I protect my daughter. I'm responsible. She's always cared for, and the biggest message that I will get to her is that do not let anybody place a limit on what you can do. You can do anything you want to do. And that's sadly something that a lot of people grow up never hearing. And the consequences of never hearing that and believing all of the negative stuff is a bunch of people who are unhealed, and they don't realize how much damage they're doing to other people. They don't realize that the thing holding them back is themselves, that if they actually wanted to heal it and recognize it instead of acting from a place of ego, that it changes everything. So the next topic was balance and healing. So I talked about, this is like going into some terms and things that a lot of people probably aren't really familiar with, and they're a bit confusing for somebody who thinks in a certain way, but I'll try to explain it the best I can. But balance, I talked about it in my post yesterday. There's all different types of balances that we know. Like the internal balance is what I'm talking about in this case. So we just kind of know if you're anxious or whatever, to try to meditate so you can be more balanced. But there's a bigger balance that's going on within us. I've talked before about like balancing the dark and the light. There's darkness within us all, and there's light within us all. But there's the concept of, when you're talking about energy that exists within us, there's a divine feminine and a divine masculine. So people will probably think if you're a divine feminine, that automatically means that you're a woman or you're female, and vice versa. But we're just talking about energy. There's no actual gender to it. It's just classifying certain traits that you have and may be more dominant. Like you might be making decisions based on one side or the other. If you're like, I was more operating from the divine feminine, which is basically like intuition, creativity, nurturing. So like obviously my relationship with my daughter and taking care of her since she's been a baby, just making those big choices on like a whim. To other people, that's what it looks like, that I just don't think about it. But it's me trusting my intuition. And then, I wasn't even putting my creativity out into the world. I don't think anybody really would have classified me as a creative individual. However, now that I think back in my life, like, that's been one of the things that has been suppressed by people my whole life. Like, I've had so many creative ideas and tried to get support for them, but like, I never painted or played instruments or did anything like that growing up. I had to discover that part of the feminine energy. But once I did, like, that's when I was painting like a ton. That was the energy that I was kind of dominating from. And then you have a divine masculine, which is more like action and logic and structure, which I realized, like, I've been balanced for long stretches of my life before, where I was super logical and structured. Like I said, we all have these traits that exist within us. But when I get really stressed and really worn down and tired and beaten up, the things I avoid are my divine masculine parts. I avoid taking action. I stop thinking logically. I stop being organized. Like, the chaos would impact and show up as me not doing those things. I would be basically just living my life in the divine feminine aspect of it. So when I talked about the twin flame union between me and Lindsay, what's so special about that union is that she was stuck like very hard in her divine masculine. It took us meeting each other to awaken like the other aspects of it. And I don't know if she doesn't trust her intuition, like she couldn't get there. But on my side of things, it forced me to get the structure back and the logical, strategic thinking to be able to do what I'm doing, to think of the big picture, the long term, and actually be organized and know exactly where I'm going and see it all. It's not just live for today. The choices I'm making each and every day are mapped out and planned for, like, I might be flexible within each day, but I see the path. I know where I'm going because I'm balanced. I now have all of the parts that were already strong in my divine feminine, but healing allowed me to become whole within myself. So, like, a divine union would be us if me and Lindsay came together. That would mean that both of us had healed and become these powerful people, and now together we would like exponentially be even stronger. But that doesn't say like, oh, it didn't happen, now everything's went wrong. Like, absolutely not. I did the work and I'm extremely powerful. Like, I know exactly what I'm capable of now. And coming with that is the idea that I don't need anybody else. I did this on my own. I healed on my own. Like, I'll be fine on my own. Which I never truly believed before. Until recently, I never really believed that I would be able to be genuinely happy just being by myself all the time. But I'm just having so much fun and taking so much enjoyment out of knowing exactly what I'm doing. And I just don't beat myself up anymore about it. Like, whatever the task is, I know I just need to focus on it and I can do it. Where the avoiding, that's why a lot of times, like, throughout this process, I would post a bunch and then kind of go quiet for a little bit. I would post a bunch and go quiet for a little bit. That was me going down the trail, going through the path where slowly, the more you heal, like, you start to become more comfortable with the things. So, where I can just now be confident in saying, like, I'm going to come on every day and do a video where I teach. So it's like, it's greater responsibility because I'm putting it out there. You know, I have to do it. So before, I would just not make those promises and then it was easy to break them. But all of us are operating from, like, one place or the other. I shouldn't say all of us. Like, there are people who have healed. There's always more healing to do. There's always growth. But a lot of the people that are in lower vibrations, they don't realize how much they're so limited in their mind and in their thinking because they're stuck on one side of those things. Like, you can't just be logical and think everything else is nonsense. And, like, I can picture a lot of those people, if I say I'm a divine feminine, being just not being able to wrap their brain around the fact that it doesn't mean I'm a woman. Because it's like they're so stuck in this construct that they put themselves in, that that's the only thing feminine means to them. So yeah, so obviously what I'm getting at is just how important healing is. Like, the messages that I receive from my higher self, from the universe, from the divine, it is guiding me. It guided me to heal first myself and then to help other people heal. So when you heal, you put yourself in alignment and you're now at a healthy enough place where the things you manifest and the things you want in your life can easily be gifted to you. And you will know exactly what to do with them and not screw it up. If you manifest from a low frequency, from a low vibration, and somehow You get it to come in, which a lot of times you don't even get it to come in because you're not doing the stuff that helps it come in. But if you do happen to get it to come in, then it's going to just end in disaster, because it's still meant to teach you a lesson. It has to end in disaster because the message, the lesson is to learn from that mistake. So it's like, take example, the person who is terrible with money, is broke all of the time, and buys the lottery ticket every day at the corner store and hits the jackpot, becomes a multimillionaire, and within a couple years is already broke again. Why do you think that happens? It's because nothing else changed other than they had more resources to mishandle. You have to heal and become balanced and whole and complete and understand who you are and learn how to manage all aspects of your life. And then when you do that, you can manifest anything you want and get it and enjoy it. It's a blessing. You get to live the life you want to live. We get to decide. First, we just have to do some work. All things granted, it's a pretty good deal. But I've talked so much about greed and shortcuts. That's the world we live in, where pulling the wool over people's eyes, deceiving and ripping people off and robbing people is just instant gratification and a quick heist. But the behavior that led you to do that in the first place means at some point or another it's going to come back to bite you. So that is really the biggest reason that I preach healing so much, so that the more people that do it, the more people that can actually start to live the exact life they want to live. Everybody's happier. That's what utopia looks like. When you can get everybody to actually do the work and heal, that's doing your part. We don't need people working made up jobs. That's not how things work. Like, infinitely abundant, this universe. We can self-sustain without having human overlords in the way of corporations and bosses. It breaks people's brains because it's all they've ever known. But it's a real thing that could be achieved. So, let me see here. All right, so before I wrap up with talking about Isis, who's the figure for today, I wanted to talk quickly about astrology, specifically because another sign from the universe today that I had this astrology app on my phone. There was a portion of my journey that I got into learning about astrology, which, again, been around forever. Like, if you actually do your research on all these ancient civilizations and everything, how they're all aligned with the stars, and like something that lasts for that long isn't just nonsense like a lot of people think. Like I said, everything is connected. It all matters. We are everything. Our lives are written in the stars. There is a plan for us when we come here. So I got into it on a part of my journey where my quote unquote partner, Sarah, I had met a couple of her friends, Jess and Renee, who I hung out with a few times, and they both were interested in helping Team Up for Hope and everything. Like, they didn't want to help. They were same as everybody else in this story. But regardless, I'm saying it to prove how just nothing was for nothing. Everything that I went through matters for a reason. I just am more advanced with understanding what those reasons are in my life. I'm trying to help you guys better assess the things that are going on in your life, to try to start asking the question why something happened, not be like, oh, this always happens to me, like I have such bad luck. It's not luck. There's something causing this to continuously happen to you, and it's your responsibility to understand and figure that out, what the lesson is, and then address it, and that thing will stop happening to you. So I met Jess and Renee, and they were into astrology, so I obviously trying to learn everything I could, so started looking into it, which I never had done. I never considered anything about astrology. Like, I never gave it much thought at all. I later found out that apparently my ex-wife and her mom definitely were into astrology. Never really told me that. And I'm told that they got readings on me from my ex. So knowledge and information is always useful. So you have to question when my ex-wife has information from this channel that a lot of people would dismiss as like, oh, that's just a scam. But they obviously believed in it, and I also believe in it now that I actually found out about it and found out about myself. But to make a long story short, I had this app on my phone. I hadn't done anything with astrology in a long time, because I use these things as like tools to help me along the way. Once I learn the stuff, and it just gives me that extra motivation to keep going, that I'm on the right track, you know. I don't feel the need to, like, I just go by feel for the most part now, and my own personal connection with the divine. I don't need to be looking at a horoscope and where the stars are aligned every day to know what's going on. I'm in tune with my own situation. But for whatever reason today, I got a message from this app and decided to open it. And it was talking about, and I didn't even do a deep dive into astrology. I just kind of believed, yep, this stuff matters. But I probably did a deep dive, actually, now that I'm being honest with myself. I did quite a bit of exploring down that avenue. But let me just talk about, we have different signs. Like, we're not just our birth sign that we know. Like, I'm a Cancer, but there's all different alignments, and I guess my ascension sign is Scorpio. So the message today on this app was talking about the energy that's happening right now, how everything's aligned, the stars aligning, that I'm in Scorpio ascension. That's the energy that I'm in. So here's kind of describing what that energy is supposed to bring out of me. If I'm fully healed, this is what should be showing up in our 3D world. So, should be living your passion, which is what I'm absolutely doing. Fulfilling your destiny. I feel I am. Embracing your need to feel alive. That's been the battle that I've been fighting for. Being an example of empowerment. Again, I think I checked that box. So it's the soul's journey. Absolutely. Literally my soul, like, for the last 5 years, begging for me to allow it to come out and play. And then loving your own intensity. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I know I'm a lot. I'm perfectly aware of that. But I'd rather be a lot than a little. If I care about something, nobody else is going to care about it more. So going back to the trying to teach something that I taught you, you're never going to be able to teach it in the same way that I taught it to you. You're just not going to match the intensity or the passion that I have for it. There's going to be something lacking with you trying to relay that message. So I look at that as a positive, and then embracing the alpha within. Like, I've never been somebody people would describe as an alpha. But at this moment, I feel like I don't think there's many people who want to try to come at me. I will not back down. I'm going to stand up and fight anybody. I don't care what they say. If you're opposed, then I didn't do anything to you. I'm going to stand up for my rights. So, yeah, I guess it's like not placing limits on yourself and just believing you're the best at what you do. That's pretty much alpha mindset, right? So, for the first time in my life, I'm operating from that place. So, what if I hadn't healed? What would this energy basically like manifest as for me? So I would be holding on to resentment, holding on to anger, basically displaying like all these toxic behaviors, and it would probably manifest in depression, anxiety, because basically I'm not in alignment with the energy of the universe. Therefore, my soul is nervous. My soul is sad. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And yeah, it's like, you have that feeling, like if you've ever been depressed and had that, what is it matter, none of this matters like thought. You understand. But when you know it all matters, and just the significance of how much it matters, like it's game changing. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, that a lot of the mental health stuff that we see is just this internal conflict and battle that we're fighting with ourselves because we know we're not being or the person that we're intended to be, and we're not doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. That's what's coming out. That's why somebody is so, it's almost like when you're very depressed, it's like you're dead inside. You basically have killed your soul. So when you're healed, it's the soul that's directing your personality. You're happy, you're having fun because your soul is happy, it's having fun, and you're doing the thing that you're intended to be doing. And then when you're unhealed, when you have the trauma that you haven't healed, it's your personality directing the soul. And the soul doesn't want to be directed. That's not the way it's supposed to work. So that is why healing is a requirement to a better society. For everybody, like, the more people that can actually wake up and come to that realization that you just don't heal yourself. If I hadn't healed, I'm not here doing this right now and putting out my creations into the world that can have an impact on other people. The spiderweb, like, just me healing myself could positively impact who knows how many people. Just like Bob Marley with his music, like how much his music helped me through the rough times. It makes a change. You might not see it in the way that you are programmed and conditioned to see. Like, it's not immediate change. But believe me, it's occurring. If you're consistent and you keep going, and you understand there's going to be setbacks. It's like I used to say all the time, healing's not linear. But to go back to Lindsay with the whole rehab part of the story, when she basically self-sabotaged herself to drink and party that night before Mother's Day. But for months and months, she would put in a lot of hard work trying to better herself and heal. And she's fighting that battle within. When you're having too much success, you self-sabotage sometimes because you're scared. So for all these other people to basically make a decision or convince her that that's the decision she should make, it's not linear. Healing's not linear. Like, she was healing. She was heading in the right direction. And that was like them shoving her back in the box. That's how I feel about it. I feel like she could have learned the lesson by failing, and drinking it's not something to be embarrassed of. It happens. She had a slip up. There's others who have as well. who I was able to convince like not to beat themselves up and just keep going. Like, ask yourself, do I really want this? If the answer is yes, then keep moving forward and going for it. But in AA and other people who don't understand addiction are going to say, like, you have to start at day one again. It's all this judgment and like disappointment in a person. That doesn't help them heal more. That just causes them to want to give up and drink or do whatever drug they do. Sorry to break it to people. Like, trying to count the days at AA, like when people relapse and then have to go back in and say, this is my 24-hour chip. AA is just a bunch of unhealed people, toxic people that are still trying to heal, trying to be like leaders of other people who are, it's kind of funny because I was like also one of that, but I didn't follow. Like, I developed my own program for what worked for me and was trying to help people do the same for themselves. I didn't just accept because I didn't agree with it. I saw the damage it actually does and that it's not designed. In the beginning, I'm sure Bill W., he developed his own program that worked for him. At one point, it probably, for his immediate group, was probably a good thing, a positive thing, that they were each other's support system. No different than the support system that we had in place and the things I was learning and going through. I was helping those people in my support system do the same thing. But at a certain point, you just have people telling you what to do and how you have to come every single day to this meeting. There's people that have been sober for 15 years. Those people couldn't go a day without going to an AA meeting. They would like feel this drastic difference if they didn't go. Surround themselves with other people to make themselves feel better. To me, that's not, you're not healed. That didn't work. You're addicted and controlled by your need to now go so that everybody else can tell you that you're doing a great job. If you're not surrounded by those people telling you you're doing a great job, you fall apart after 15 years of not doing the thing. Like, maybe you need to try something else. Like, I have so much empathy for people doing it, but like when you do it 10, 15 times and it doesn't work every time, what does that say? If you really want it yourself and it's just not working over and over again, wouldn't the logical thing to do is to look at the people around you and say, how do they play a part in this? Because that's what I did. Because I knew I wanted it. Because I know myself. Because I go inward and I know myself. If you don't know yourself, just let other people lead you. Other people that aren't looking out for your best interests. When we're unhealed, we allow ourselves to get taken advantage of and abused. We need, if you really want a happier, better life, you heal and then you just go get it. So I think I made my point about the importance of healing. I really wanted to spend a lot of time because I know it's a long video already, but Isis is the figure that I'm going to talk about, so it will make sense. Like I said, I'm weaving a web here. So, real quick before talking about Isis, I want to talk quickly about the Bible and give a little shout out to all my friends at Corpus Christi Catholic Church in Celebration who were big supporters of mine. But in the Bible, they make mention, I think in Revelation 7:4, of the 144,000, which a lot of people think are like the light workers, the servants of God, mission to prepare the world for Jesus' second coming. So here's my take. I think Jesus was very much a real person. I think Jesus very much believed and operated from a place very much like myself. Like, what qualities do you think Jesus embodied? Love, light, like forgiveness, all those qualities, like those are the qualities I try to possess, and many other people try to live their life from a place of that. That's called Christ consciousness. We just named it Christ consciousness because, people think that Jesus was this one-off, that he's the greatest figure that ever existed. He was obviously extremely influential. There's no doubt about it. But when you really look, the messages that he was relaying were messages throughout time that many people also spread. So I don't know what's literal and what's not in the Bible. Some of the stuff very well could be like psychedelics. Like they're on a trip when they wrote the stuff. Like, we take things so literally, but all we know really, I read some of the Bible. Like, I've never read the Bible front to back. I read a little bit when I was at the hotel because it was in the nightstand. One of the first pages talking about creation, it talks about God being within us. And I can tell you that's 100% true. There's divinity in all of us. We are sons of God, sons and daughters of God, just like we say, like Jesus was. I don't think Jesus was the only son or daughter of God. We all are. So I don't understand the entire concept that we have to congregate. I agree. Community is great and everything. There's plenty of other ways we can come together and do good. It doesn't have to be all together at the same time that we pray and celebrate God. At any point, you can literally go inward and have a connection with them. So if you want to call it, like people refer to it as Christ consciousness, but it's the oneness of all. It is the ideas that Jesus Christ embodied within him, the messages that he talked about was the important part. Not the figure. It was what he embodied. And he hasn't been the only one throughout time. So, I don't have any ill will towards people who like going to church, who are good people and want to make a positive impact, and they embody those things. Do whatever you feel is good, but do not let people judge and tell you that this is the only way, and that we live in a world where there's a vengeful God. Most of the bad stuff that happens, newsflash, it's because unhealed humans are messing around, causing stuff they don't know anything about, causing bad things to happen. It's not the design that God wanted. He wants people to be living their best lives and to take enjoyment out of life. And to do that, he guides people like me, people like Jesus, people like Carl Jung and Plato and all of these people, Bob Marley, like throughout time, there's plenty of people that we don't know their names. But that's how they lived once they healed from the stuff that was making them not themselves. They became these beautiful, inspirational messengers for good in this world. So when the Catholic Church is very invested in, for some reason, stopping me from healing and becoming this person, if we're spinning a web, if we're connecting the threads, do you think maybe they have the information that all of it does matter, that you can use astrology to understand what somebody could potentially be capable of, like what their path is? Do you think they might actually know that we hold all this power within us, and that if we fully form and become whole, that we have the power to expose them for these things? And these are the things that they profit from, since we have already gone over the fact that everything, when you're unhealed, is about money. So all these people who are even in leadership positions at religious organizations, who they're not leading from a place of their connection with God, because that's not what God is directing the good people who are healed to do. You don't need another human to tap in or to pray. You just don't. That's my belief. You are welcome to believe anything you want, but I wanted to talk about those traits that Jesus had, and how that is not the only person throughout history, and how we interpret mythology. So, you know, we all say that ancient civilizations were primitive and mythology is just made up. But what if it wasn't? What if these gods and goddesses were actually real people? So I want to talk about Isis, who is the goddess of magic, motherhood, and protection. She's powerful and compassionate, and she's basically the bridge between gods and mortals. So, yeah, she was extremely mysterious and trusted her intuition and spiritual knowledge. And she's known for being able to tap into the subconscious mind. Basically, she was like a lie detector. She could see things that other people couldn't see. So she started in service of helping other people, like the common folks, if you will, of Egypt. That's how she got her start, helping other people. Interesting. That was how I got guided to start down my journey. We know that history loves to repeat itself, and I think it's pretty common belief that a lot of the stories in the Bible or whatever other religious text that you believe in, there's an idea that God would use the same stories that you already know in modern times when the second coming was due to arrive. So what I'm saying is we shouldn't look for Jesus Christ in human form here. That maybe the second coming is just a return to the ideas he embodied, which, let me go back to Isis. So she started out basically just helping other people to heal. She was a powerful healer. And so she was the wife and sister of Osiris and mother of Horus. So she was a fierce protector of Horus, her son. She the myth goes that she brought Osiris back from the dead. Oh, we've heard that term before, right? He has risen. This story of bringing people back from the dead. So let's say maybe, could that be a metaphor? If you're dead inside when you're depressed, when there's no point in going forward and living, and then somebody resurrects you and gives you hope, could that be bringing somebody back from the dead? Bringing back somebody back to life? I was almost dead. I felt I was dying. But the only thing that allowed me to survive was hope. And I clearly can heal myself because I'm stronger and better than ever. So then you think of all these people who were unhealed that I've crossed paths with and who I am basically sending messages to every time I come on here to spark their own healing journey. Some won't ever do it, but many will. So if their life was basically dying, and then all of a sudden I could somehow resurrect it, could that be what we're supposed to be doing? How we resurrect people from the dead is like providing them with hope again? I'm not saying that the Jesus story is exaggerated or anything. I really don't know. I really don't ever think about it. That doesn't matter to me, because I think the higher perspective is Jesus died for our sins. Like, he didn't have to. If that's what you believe, he didn't have to. Like, that's such a cop-out to be this person who thinks they can just get away with doing stuff and using the fact that they don't want to heal and just say, oh, Jesus died for our sins. Like, there's people right now who are fighting for your sins, to stop doing them, and you don't know what you're doing to other people. Like, it's not just like, oh, waiting for Jesus to show back up. Why? We can do it. We have the way to do it. The same message that he was spreading then. Isis literally was spreading the same message as Plato was in Greece 2,000 years later. So she was first depicted in like 2686 to 2181 BCE, the Old Kingdom of Egypt. I think everybody realizes, like, at one point, both Greece and Egypt were these great civilizations. So, how did they get to be these great civilizations? That they were embracing some of these concepts that these famous figures were talking about. So with Christ consciousness, the idea is, since we are all connected, like I said, the spider web, the more people who start to embody these traits instead of the hate and the negativity, just by the laws of the universe, it will shift and change the world for good. Things will be better because people are being better. It's a pretty basic concept when you actually think about it. But, I mean, that was what Jesus was fighting for. If Jesus is your go-to, I don't see what changed other than you guys want to profit from it. So, Isis was, like I said, she started as just in service to common folks, but she obviously powerful magician and healer, and she the symbol of nature as well. Not a coincidence that the more and more I go down my journey, I come outside every day and do my videos from out here. But let's just say the 144,000 servants of God on a mission to prepare the world for Jesus' second coming. What if they're just light workers preparing the world by spreading the qualities and traits that he embodied? That tends to be what I kind of believe, is that there are certain people among us, myself included, who have a bigger mission, which is to help balance the planet, balance this world, because we are tipping the scales in the wrong direction right now. I feel like that was Jesus's mission during his time on earth. And I think that was ISIS's mission back in 2686 BCE. Because the first depictions of her in the hieroglyphs and everything was that she had a human form. We know her as a goddess now, but that's just like she was made a god just like Jesus was made a god. She was adopted universally. So during the Hellenistic period, like 323 to 330 BCE, Egypt obviously got taken over by Greece, and apparently she was such like an influential figure by that point that the Greek people adopted stories about her, and then it spread universally around the world about this magical goddess who probably at one point was walking the earth in human form and was just one of the people during her times that was one of the 144,000 who was here to keep balance. So she was started at service, but later like her gifts were discovered, and she had, in basically easiest way to put it, she became like a kingmaker, because she was like this human lie detector. She could see things people didn't see and call out corruption and hypocrisy and all that stuff. So they made her the kingmaker, which basically she would teach her philosophies and help the pharaohs and the people who are going to rule to heal. So before they were given the ability to run the nation, run a company, run a group of people that they're responsible for, they would have her, basically her system of healing, so that these people were operating from their highest self, that they were doing what's best for the greater good, not just being easily corrupted and operating from their ego if they're unhealed. That sounds a lot like what Plato proposed and I talked about yesterday. Philosopher kings. Making sure the people who are running the systems and the important things, the important decisions that are being made that impact us all, that these people aren't narcissists and psychopaths. Because a lot of them are. If you have that big of a drive and motivated that much to obtain power, usually not a good thing. I did everything I could for 40-something years to avoid doing what I'm doing right now. I was unhealed. And if you would have told me 3 years ago, when I manifested freedom, balance, and peace, that 3 years later, that would mean me having to put myself out there to the world and talk on a regular basis freely, I would have, that's the opposite of peace, balance, and freedom to me. That would have created so much anxiety for me. It's unfathomable to think about. Like, but that was the point. The thing we're afraid of the most just happens to be what we need to be doing. So everything I went through was just a big elaborate show that was helping me to break out of my shell. Like, I knew when I was started to get attacked, I was like, I have to start speaking up. As much as it was like the last thing I actually wanted to do, I had to start speaking up. But to get back to ISIS, it sure seems like there's a lot of threads between ISIS, Plato, Jesus, all different time periods, all different belief systems, but not really. We just think that they're all different. But I'm sitting here right now, along with many others who have been given this truth and are fighting to bring it to the modern times that we live in. But this is the same narrative time and time again. It's history repeating itself. Just to be clear, I'm not comparing myself to any of these figures. I'm simply throwing out some ideas that there's plenty of different perspectives and ways to look at things. I am not telling you what and what to not believe. However, what I am asking is to start asking some of these questions to yourself, at least. You don't have to go around like speaking about them in public if you don't want to, but I said, like, this is just day 2 here. I'm gonna sit here for the next however long it takes and continuously build off of the exact things I'm saying. Like I said, I'm laying the foundation. I can continue to literally build until we get to the moon for the first time. I mean, tomorrow I'll talk about Carl Jung, and you'll see how everything he worked on in a completely different discipline as a psychologist is the exact same stuff that I've talked about already. And then Tesla and Spinoza, like, they're all different time periods and professions, and they take different approaches, but they all have the same thing in common, is that they were healed. And they clearly had a connection to the divine who was helping them with the work that they were doing so that they could leave it as their own. I mean, they were the leaders of the way back then. They were trying to lead people in the same direction as I'm trying to do right now. It's been happening throughout existence. It's all the people who actually leave the legacies of, like, I used to think, how do these people comprehend some of the things that they were able to invent? But I get it now. It's just a matter of tapping into your highest self that opens you up to receiving those ideas. And then it takes the action from your divine masculine part to run with that idea and make it a reality. So you need to be balanced and for both sides to be operating in order to do that. Or you're going to be stuck in fear and self-sabotage and depression and anxiety if you don't do it. So if you don't feel fulfilled with where you are right now, you have to heal. Whether you think you have trauma or you don't, you do. It'll change your life for the better. Like, you'll have to make some hard changes, but it's not even a negotiable. Like, it's a guarantee, if you actually do it, how much of an improvement that it will make. So, to wrap up Isis, yeah, I mean, now she is considered like one of the most powerful of the Egyptian gods, who, if you think of her as the bridge from the gods to the people, to me, that's just saying that she was tapped in. She understood her gifts. She was being guided. And she could literally help people, not even just heal like wounds and stuff, like we're talking about healing themselves from the inside out, like whether that's energy work and stuff. Like, people think about Reiki and things like that, but like, I'm talking, maybe she had the ability to be able to see people for exactly what they were and knew what to say that motivated that person to be a better person. She was able to help heal because she triggered something that sparked it. There's a lot of ways to look at things. People think like, oh, magic and healing and this and that, it's got to be nonsense. No, you're too attached to the words. Words are just made up things that somebody created. Think about what it actually could mean. It could mean like she helped a lot of people improve their lives. She healed the community. Just her being there could heal the people around her because she was a positive influence that embodied the same qualities that Christ did. It's, to me, not that big of a stretch. But like I said, I don't do this to try to get people to agree with me. I do it to hope that people want to start using their own independent thinking and not just accept everything is just the way it is and we can't do anything about it. There's plenty of figures throughout history who disagree with that. And in real time, I strongly disagree. So, I mean, it's hard to get somebody who doesn't care about themselves to care about other people. I understand that. But yeah, healing yourself isn't a selfish act. It's actually the opposite of a selfish act, because it actually positively impacts so many people around you when you finally are able to do it. We just can't seem to think that far ahead or have that higher perspective. People just see things one way, and it gets us in trouble time and time again. But this has already been an extremely long video, so I will wrap it up. Yeah, tomorrow, like I said, my favorite, Carl Jung, and whatever else pops into this brain of mine before that, I'll probably throw into the lesson as well. But yeah, Carl Jung's a fascinating guy. And if you don't believe in all the spiritual or the astrology or any of that nonsense, then, you know, this is pretty much just a psychologist who studied the human mind, and what he found, because he basically studied himself as well, what he found, I'll prove to you guys, is basically no different than the stuff I've already talked about. So yeah, anybody who's interested, hope you watch tomorrow's, and I'm sure I'll post an article as well, trying to stay pretty consistent with that stuff. And you never know what is going to trigger something I say in one article. Could literally be that light bulb moment for somebody. So the least I can do is keep putting it out there, do what I can control, stay positive, keep spreading the same traits that so many others before me have as well. So love you all. Look forward to tomorrow's lesson, and hope everybody has a great day.